So like I promised, we have an interesting discussion here in studio, and I'm inviting you to chime in. Hashtag, of course, to use is Newscentre, or at Betty M. Keller is my Twitter handle. Let me know what you think. And of course, if you as a Kenyan was disappointed that President Uhuru Kenyatta did not attend that debate yesterday, let me introduce my panel of guests, and I'll start from my extreme left. I have Mark Bichachi, who is a communications strategist and a political analyst. Thank you very much for coming. We also have Charles Omanga, not a newbie here on the show. He is a lawyer and is also a political analyst. I also have Joseph Nyaringo, who is the man behind NASA's Adopt a Polling Station, and he's also the secretary for NASA Diaspora. Thank you very much for joining us here on the show.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's begin from, things seem to have moved on for President Uhuru Kenyatta. He did not attend the debate yesterday, but today he's hit the ground running again with the campaigns. So what does this mean about, him not going for the debate? Did it really matter? Was there not any value to it?
I think, to be honest, Betty, if I were the president today, I will just fire the advisors, because this is a reflection that they don't understand the meaning of transparency and accountability. Because number one, when you try to shy away from the people whose mandate you are seeking from the aid, then it shows that, to be honest, there is a problem with the president. Because last night, the NASA presidential candidate, Raila Odinga, made his case. He actually spoke to Kenyans. He highlighted his yearnings for the nation of Kenya, and he scored highly. To be honest, the president considered debate. Uhuru Kenyatta, he considered debate.
Well, interesting. Charles, let me hear your views on this one, because the president said that, the reason why he did not attend the debate is because he was not fully engaged by the organizers in regards to the format, and the themes or the areas that, he was going to be questioned on.
Thank you very much, Betty. Allow me to briefly, within a split of 10 seconds, first of all, to give at least a background of the presidential debates. Presidential debates has never been a new phenomenon. The first presidential debate was held in 1960 between President Nixon and J.F. Kennedy. And subsequent to that, there has been, in the United States, the process of presidential debates being conducted. And the mere fact that the president skipped, even President Richard Nixon skipped the debate of 1968 and 1964. That aside, Betty, it is something that I would really say it is a bit disappointing, because the debate organizers indeed briefed Kenyans very sufficiently that there had been that engagement process. By the time they made the intentions clear that there would be 2017 presidential debates. And they indeed informed Kenyans, again very exhaustively, that they were in constant communication, not with the president. It is not the president that the debate organizer communicates.
Yes.
The president have his advisors, the president have his communication team, they have their communication strategies through which such correspondences are exchanged. Therefore, for the president, with all very due respect to say he was not engaged, that to me would seem like we are not really being honest here.
All right.
Because I don't think that the whole media fraternity and the debate organizers would come and lie to Kenyans that indeed there was a communication. I myself, for the first time, I've been hearing that there would be presidential debate for the last 2 months, at least. So for the president to say, or his communication people to say there had not been that engagement, that would be at least not very true.
All right, when the people who work in his office have come out to say that, they were shocked to see advertisements on TV that, the president will be attending, yet there was no communication mark. But even as you answer that, did he really lose anything by not going for that debate?
I'll tell you a story. If you look at King Arthur's mythology, there is a particular seat, it was called the Siege Perilous. It was the seat that was left for the knight who would have the Holy Grail. Now, I think this was a situation where, on one side, people felt like Uhuru would not gain anything.
Yes.
And in fact, he stood to lose more if he showed up for the debate.
Yes.
And then there was another side of, is it a civic duty for the sitting president to then show up for this particular debate? And these two issues, I think, need to be separated. The issue of whether it affects the election or not does not really qualify whether you should have a debate or not. And that's where the confusion is coming. The truth of the matter is there might not be an impact in terms of many people not voting for Uhuru. They may not be, and that's what I'm using, may not be. And at the same time, there could be a huge number of undecideds who maybe have sided with Raila. But that's not the point why we debate. We debate because as a democratic nation, leadership is supposed to be exposable and findable by the people of the Republic. Now, when you separate these issues, then the strategy of keeping Uhuru away from a hot seat, okay, may have worked short term, okay? But we also need to look at this in terms of the longevity of our democracy. Is it something we want to keep sustaining? And it is indeed my hope that as the President of the Republic, who has said several occasions that he wants to engage Kenyans, I hope in the next 2 weeks where he's going to engage Kenyans and really address the issues that maybe have not been addressed at the debate. Because if you look at his wording, he says that he was not engaged. Now, if he was not engaged, it means he still wants to debate. So let's see in the next 2 weeks whether he as president will begin to answer the questions that Kenyans have.
All right. Yes. I want us to go into some of the things that Raila Odinga said, but before we do that, I'd just like to hear from you, what was your biggest take home with Raila being there for over 1 hour? Just very briefly.
I think Raila captured most of the values he has stood for throughout this political journey. And to be honest, when you are watched by millions, these are the people Raila is looking forward, and Raila and Uhuru are looking forward to vote for them. So many people tuned in, and kind of they captured the perspectives, the economic perspectives, the transparency and the accountability that the NASA stands for, the equity and the equality that the coalition stands for. And to be honest, Raila was extremely clear on the best way forward when he takes power from the 8th.
All right. Charles, the other thing that, the critics were saying that there was nothing new that Raila put on the table yesterday, that it's the same thing that he's been talking about for so long, during the campaign season, and even before that, the 8.5 million Kenyans who are watching, quite a big number, did not really get anything different from him. What is your assessment of that?
I think my considered assessment of that issue is that we cannot victimize Honorable Raila Odinga that he has been talking about the same things. He is talking about the same things because it is the very things that we are still fighting. We are still fighting corruption. We are still fighting nepotism. We are still fighting high cost of living. We are still fighting issues of not enough space for everyone. Therefore, those are the issues that must dominate our debates. Therefore, for someone to say that Raila Odinga, there was nothing new, the people should also remember, and it is a common understanding, that Raila Odinga has never gotten an opportunity, that executive opportunity, to at least try and address these issues. The last time that Raila Odinga became near to the most executive power was when he was the Prime Minister. Therefore, Raila Odinga still believes that corruption is still an issue. So if he's talking about addressing corruption, we cannot say we expected something new, because these are still the very ills that are still bedeviling our society. Therefore, by all manner of considerations, Raila Odinga has every right to still talk about economic emancipation, equality in the appointment, negative ethnicity and exclusion. Those are still the challenges that are still facing this country. The moment we will address those issues, then we will take the debate to the next level, where we will still now be dealing with other things like climate change and so many and so on and so forth.
All right, Mark, finally, before we take a break, what grade would you give Raila Odinga in regards to his performance yesterday evening?
I would give him a B+, which is really high compared to the other debaters who I give them much less. The reason why I'd give him a B+ is he did a number of key things. Number one, he connected emotionally with the Kenyan people. When he explained why his eyes tear, he connected emotionally. When he bridged the gap between him and the Kenyatta family by saying, you know, we're not entitled to these positions, and he gave his background and his story. That was very important. Number two, he was able to use humor to engage the public, and that plays to his strengths because he's not someone who's given to such serious debate, and he played that very well. Number three, he was very eloquent in matters of his own manifesto. He was able to remember elements of his manifesto and elucidate on a very many wide-ranging topics. So he gets a passing grade for this particular thing. And of course, he passed also another very critical exam that we don't usually realize that we give our leaders, that he was able to stand for 90 minutes and talk through issues. It is not quite easy. As in, you know this, to sit here for 2 hours and talk is not a physically lesser challenge. So yes, he did very well in this particular debate.
All right. Yeah. So we'll be delving deeper into some of the issues that NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga was taken to task on by the moderators. That is going to be happening after this short break. Don't go away. Our conversation continues shortly.